Today, we are continuing to work toward establishing an unconditional humanitarian ceasefire, one that could honor Eid, which begins now, and that will stop the fighting, allow desperately needed food and medicine and other supplies into Gaza, and enable Israel to address the threat which we fully understand and which is real, the threat posed by tunnel attacks, and to be able to do so without having to resort to combat.
Okay, that's almost sounds like a magician's trick, but joining us now to talk about all this and more is our friend Alan Dershowtiz, Newsmax contributor, author, and of course professor of law at Harvard Law School. Hey, Alan.
Well, I hope it's true. You know, Israel has accepted 5 ceasefire offers, and in each of them, people have been killed. Its own soldiers have been killed because Hamas violates it, and they often violate it from UN sanctuaries. Just the other day, 5 Israelis who went in to protect a UN sanctuary were booby-trapped to death by Hamas when they were trying to get out a tunnel which was built, the entrance was built in a place marked by the UN. And in the past couple of days, Israel was fired at by UN schools in the area and had to return fire, and the results have been disastrous. Innocent people have died, but the world is blaming the wrong people for these deaths. It's part of Hamas's plan. You know, anybody out there who reasonably and understandably sympathizes with the Palestinians who have been killed but doesn't understand that it's Hamas's fault is simply increasing the number of Palestinians who will die, because when the Hamas strategy works, and it's working now with the media, it just encourages Hamas to do this over and over again, to put their own citizens in harm's way.
Absolutely, and I told you this off the air, I'll say it on the air. I have always been proud of our affiliation, but never so proud as when you're there night after night on whether it's CNN or anywhere else, surrounded by 2 others, and if you include the host, usually it's 3 others, who have a different point of view, and you just hammer home the truth in the face of interruption, in the face of mockery at many times, and you can't see their expressions on their faces. I do, and it's better that you don't, because, again, I'm just so proud of how you're out there telling the truth.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, it's easy to defend Israel. All you have to do is put out the facts. All you have to do is put out the undisputed facts that you can see on video, you can see on camera, you can see Hamas using human shields, and you can see Israel trying desperately to avoid civilian casualties. Every time Israel kills a civilian, it hurts Israel. It hurts Israel's image, it hurts Israel's military prowess, it hurts them at home, it hurts them abroad. Why would any Israeli soldier try purposely to kill a Palestinian civilian? It's Hamas who tries to get Israel to kill Palestinian civilians. There's a photograph that's online now of a father kind of basically nailing his 2 children up to the front of the house to use them as human shields.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's just outrageous. And if those kids were killed, we wouldn't know that. All we would see is the pictures of the dead children, which, by the way, violates Islamic tradition. Under Islamic tradition, you're not supposed to show the dead. They're supposed to be covered and buried immediately, but they make an exception for what they call, or what we call, the dead baby strategy. That is, put babies and children in harm's way deliberately, then show the pictures when they're killed, and blame it all on Israel, and the world gets outraged at Israel, and it leads to anti-Semitic attacks all over the world, in France and England and Germany.
Yeah.
And so Hamas's strategy is working. It's working because the media encourages it.
And Alan, you know, shouldn't the media have learned a lot of these videos that we see, and I'm not saying they're not real, I don't know, but I argue that the media outlets don't know. They're getting these from Hamas, and they've run on Hamas television. They use them and they repeat them. Now, haven't they learned from the false Jenin massacre? Haven't they learned from the fake Palestinian funerals? Haven't they learned from the footage of the same supposed dead child being carried in and out of an ambulance hours apart? I mean, they just don't fact check.
Well, one of the most brutal and gruesome of the pictures of a dead child turned out to be a child killed in Syria by Syrian rebels.
Yes, the gassing, yeah.
Yeah, but they simply, every time there's a dead child, they say Israel must be at fault. You know, it reminds me of the old blood libel when dead children were found in Eastern Europe in the 12th and 13th centuries, they would always say, some Jew killed him to use his blood to bake matzah, the blood libel. Hamas, by the way, is still spreading that blood libel. You can go online and listen to Hamas leaders as recently as 2 or 3 days ago saying that Israel kills children because it's part of its religious tradition. They were required in the Bible to kill children, by the way, the Bible that's both the Christian and the Jewish Bible, to kill children and use their blood in matzah.
Yeah, just awful. Let me ask you a couple more things, Alan. A big story in the New York Times today, and I'm glad they wrote it because it's been quite obvious for those who wanted to notice it, and that is that the very obvious and very speaks volumes by their silence, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. You look at the Arab countries; they're not out there. We are condemning Israel more than Jordan and Saudi Arabia and Egypt, of course. They want Israel to do what they're doing. They'd love to see Israel wipe out Hamas because they're afraid of Hamas.
Right, and the only people who are siding with Hamas are the two real villains behind this war, and that is Qatar and Turkey. If not for Qatar and Turkey harboring murderous war criminals, providing financial support, military support. If not for that, this war never would have been started by Hamas. And Qatar, as you know, is the host of the World Cup in 2022. It has various American universities, and the Qatarian government is now a criminal government. They are complicitous with war criminals, and every time they provide material support to Hamas, which is a designated terrorist group, they violate American law. And so I can tell you the next time a Qatarian diplomat comes to the United States, I suspect there are going to be some lawsuits.
Well, then what the heck was Kerry doing over there negotiating a ceasefire with them in Turkey?
In an article I'm writing now, I say I understand why you have to deal with the devil, but you have to recognize that he is the devil, that Qatar is the devil here. And, if they could get Hamas to buy into a ceasefire, okay, you deal with whoever you have to deal with, but don't praise them. Don't think of them as part of the solution. They're part of the problem, and Turkey is too. Turkey's crazy prime minister has just ordered his Jewish citizens, this is a Turkish prime minister, ordering his Jewish citizens to write a statement condemning the Israeli government and saying, if you don't do it, we will not regard you as good Turks. I mean, that's just the old-fashioned dual loyalty, a canard raising its ugly head again, and he has stimulated anti-Semitism throughout Turkey, and they're a member of NATO. I think their membership in NATO has to be rethought. I think that Qatar's claim to have the World Cup in 2022 has to be rethought. The 3 American universities that have campuses in Qatar have to rethink whether they really want their students and faculty to be educated by a terrorist country. These are really, really difficult questions that are raising now.
Yeah, and of course, the World Cup is scheduled to be in Russia, too, I think, before them or after.
We picked them really well.
Don't we? All right, I want you to hear something from, I want to go back to the media one more time here. This is Joe Scarborough, apparently this morning. Shocking to me, really shocking. Let's all listen to this.
I'm sorry, this is asinine. This continued killing of women and children in a way that appears to be indiscriminate is asinine. It is bad. Of course, it's tragic for the Palestinian people. It is bad for the Israeli people. I mean, we will rue the day that this is happening every day, and women and children are being seen, because you know what? As much as we all hate Hamas, what is going to replace Hamas is going to be much worse.
So he's condemning Israel, and then this line that, we need Hamas there because we don't know what's coming next. The State Department has even said that.
Did you see the Freudian slip on his show?
Yes, Mika said Jew. Well, yes, we'll be back. Morning Jew, yes.
Yeah, Morning Jew.
The daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, who's a big, in my view, let's just say, anti-Israel person.
Yeah, well, I think we'll stop at that.
Yeah.
But some people have gone a bit further than that. Now, the idea that Hamas will be replaced by somebody worse, absolutely false. What could be worse than a group that says we don't believe in Israel's right to exist? We want to, quote, exterminate every Jew who lives in Israel. They are playing ball with Hezbollah, whose leader says he hopes all the Jews in the world will come to Israel so we won't have to go after them the way Hitler did. We can kill them all in one shot. Let me tell you, the devil we know is as bad as any possible devil. So I would be very happy to see Hamas disabled, demilitarized, and the world can fight what comes next.
Gotcha. Alan, I appreciate it. Enjoy your time wherever you are, and thank you for, like I said, for speaking the truth.
Thank you.
Take care. Alan Dershowtiz, folks. Newsmax contributor. Don't forget that part. And, of course, author and a professor of law at Harvard Law School. Yeah, when I see him sitting there next to Mark Lamont Hill, you know, Mark Lamont Hill and I over the years have had our debates, but Mark Lamont Hill is either a virulent anti-Semite or an ignoramus. You pick, because I'll give you those two choices. That's my opinion, which I'm entitled to. And he's welcome to come on the show anytime and debate me. All right, folks, we are coming back. Give Me 5 is next.